So we're in a supported reclining butterfly, and this might be more restorative to you or more yin-like. So to tell the difference, if you're restorative, you're not using a lot of effort, you're not feeling any kind of intensity in the hips, it's more comfort. You can prop the legs with some props, some cushions. More yin-like, you are going to start feeling some sensations really deep into the hips. If you're not ready to go there yet, that's okay. And we'll take some time to breathe right here. So starting to lengthen your inhales and exhales. Just make them a bit deeper. So you breathe in deeper than you might have all day so far, all morning. Maybe you slow the exhale, push out more air than you are used to. Continuing. And I like to start the practice with just a little simple breath work, pranayama. And this can be just as simple as inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling for the count of 4, doing that a few times. And then can you draw the exhale out even longer? So inhaling for 4, exhaling for 6. Nice. You can always take up your own count if these numbers don't quite work for you. Idea is just drawing out the exhale a little bit longer than the inhale was. And we just start to control our breathing really with that exhale. So we can really smooth out the edges in the breath consciously. Controlling that out breath. And then smoothing out that churn the breath makes at the bottom. Then you inhale again. And then smoothing out that breath at the top from the inhale to the exhale. And it's like a cycle, almost circular. So all that we do in our practice, the breath work, the asana poses, all are tools for meditation. So this is all our practice. We're just practicing presence. So you're welcome to continue the counting of the breath for a little bit longer. Smoothing the turns of the breath out. Maybe even noticing the spaces between a bit more. And then beginning that observation of the different parts of the self. So you can start observing not just the breath, but how you feel now because of this breath. How you feel mentally, physically, emotionally. And it's just asking a question to the self. How do I feel right now? Without any right answer or expectations. Asking with compassion and curiosity. You can ask into what you need and form that into an intention for your practice or even for this day. So the intention could be a word, could be something that you need for yourself. You all are very giving to others. Maybe it's taking that time really for yourself today, filling your own cup first. And then you're welcome to place one hand on the heart and then the other hand on top of that first hand. Take a deep breath in and thinking of that intention, holding it at the top. And then really allow your heart to feel it here. And then slowly exhale, release the intention into your being, into your spirit. So you can take a few more breaths here with your hands at the heart or by the side. Nice. And then let's release the legs. So you can either pull your legs together with your hands or just bring them together and then setting those legs long, stretching the legs along the mat, letting the feet go, and just feel that release from the hips. Notice anything. You start to tune into those subtle little movements of energy in the body. So it can be like buzzing, especially after some deep breath work or some intense poses, like that buzzing or that pulsing. Sometimes we can feel our heart beating like in our fingers or head after we've done some physical activity. So the little things like that to start noticing. Nice breath here. And then let's roll off of our props. You can start bending your knees, feet to the ground, and just kind of roll to the side, push it over, lying flat out. If your low back is a little tender here, keep your knees bent. Maybe knees fall together. You can stay in stillness, or if it feels good, bringing knees to the chest, doing some rocking or circling with the knees, legs, hips. Just feel out how the low spine feels, how the hips are doing this morning. Nice. And then coming back to center, let's roll to the side, come up for a seated position. So you can sit on a prop like a blanket or a pillow for any of the seated poses. We're going to take a half butterfly. So this will be, let's say, right leg is stretched long, one leg stretched long, and then the other is knee bent, foot at the inside. And then we can just think about what we want to let go of and how this is different than like a vinyasa or yang practice. So in yang, we would be really flexing the foot, reaching to the foot, trying to get maybe head to knee. Let all that go. We're just going to let that right leg completely relax in the muscles. If this is not okay with the hamstring or if there's sciatic pain, you can bend the knee and place a prop under here. And you can also put a prop under the bent knee, especially if it's like way up and you're straining to hold it. I'm going to grab my bolster for this one and put it right over my leg. And then let's just turn towards the long leg. Take a breath here. Exhale. It's a rounding in the spine. So if I don't have the prop, it kind of looks like this. So rounding. No worries about head to knee or reaching the foot. Let that go. And we just kind of stop where we feel a bit of resistance and explore that. So our goal, relaxing our muscles to access deeper tissue and meridians, energetic structure of the body. And then we use the props. You can use them creatively. You can make up your own ways. I like to take that bolster over the leg, and then I can really rest my upper body. I don't have to strain in my arms or shoulders to hold myself in this pose. It's just an idea. Thinking about bringing the floor or different body parts closer to you so that you can actually stay in the pose longer in stillness for a little longer, go a little bit deeper. And we will be taking these poses about 3 to 4 minutes today. I'd love it if you would listen to your own body, back off or come out when you need to, go deeper or stay longer when you need to. Give yourself plenty of time to find that pose that works for you. It might take you like a minute to set your space up to figure out how I can be, how my props are. Give yourself time. We do have plenty of time. Let that breath really settle you in the pose. Let you know how you're doing in the pose. If it's a labored, difficult breath, then you might be too deep here or in any posture. So we do target certain areas of the body. You should feel something in the back somewhere. It could be the spine. It could be this out kind of side body. You may feel this in your hamstrings, which is okay for accessing some muscles here. Just letting them relax and release and not be contracted. You might feel this in one or both hips as well. So maybe you really ask yourself, where am I feeling this in my body? And that's a great way to come back to the present when our thoughts wander. What do I feel in my body? Where do I feel this? You can ask, what does it feel like? Is it more of a pulling sensation? Is it more of like a compressing or squishing together of tissues? And watching, if anything becomes sharp, please back off. That's something we want to avoid, is pain. Such a nice day to practice yin when it's all dark and rainy. Just love like lying on the floor, listening to the stormy sounds. You can tune into that, or if you have music, just any sensory information can bring you to the present. Maybe you use essential oils in your practice. A sense of smell can be important to some people. And of course, the physical from the postures and the breath, the physical sensations, energetic feelings. We're going to be here about 1 more minute, but use your own discretion. Take care of yourself here. Nice. A few more breaths. Taking the last couple breaths in the pose. And then we will come out as slowly as possible. So just like we did in that first pose, lying down, come out just as slow as you can with support. So use your arms, hands, maybe you press them into the ground or props and lift up. And slowly release. Just take your time in each stage of coming out of the pose. If you'd like, you can lie down between them. I'm just going to bring my leg in and just sit for a moment, just letting go in this hip. You can take legs out if you want, kind of point and flex or circle. And then I'm going to cue for the other side, but if you're not ready, take rest, no worries. I kind of think of it as a counter pose, one side for the other in some of the poses. So opposite leg is long, stretched, figuring out if you need a prop under one or both of your knees or this thigh. I'm going to take my prop over here. And then starting to turn a bit towards that long leg, taking a breath. And exhale, beginning to fold. So it can be just a little bit to start. It might take you time to start sinking the head and chest down. You just let your body fall into the pose, not forcing it. So you can think of waterfall. That downward movement of water, it's always going downhill or seeking the lowest point, and our bodies are so much water. Just thinking about that upper body, just like letting go, falling over that lower body. Just take your time again getting into this. I'm just using my phone for the timer here so we are equal on both sides. Let go of any shoulds or expectations of how the poses should look like. There's really no explanation, or there's no specific way it should look. So if I could see everyone in a class, everyone would be either slightly or drastically different in each posture. And that's a beautiful thing. So knowing that you're going into the poses, in and out of them really slowly, really safely, that really gives me a lot of relief to know that. So we can practice safely from our homes. You're really feeling each sensation, watching for anything that isn't right, like any kind of that sharp or shooting sensation, just none of that, no pain. Your breath coming in, enlivening the pose, sending that fresh energy where you would like to send it. So that's probably going to be to the area you're feeling it in this pose. You can ask yourself, where am I feeling this the most? And then inhale right to that area. Exhale, can you let go of a muscle or something, a thought? Just let go, sink into the ground. You might notice we folded over the leg, but your upper body might have fallen to the right or to the left. That's totally okay. So I do tend to go to the outside of the leg, and that gets me a huge stretch on the right side body, but you might be different. You might have come more to the inside. You're getting it more in the center of the low back. Some people might be directly over that leg. We are more than halfway through this. Every moment of the pose is different from one to the next, and you're different. Your physiology is changing from one pose, from one moment to the next, even in every pose as we compress or stretch certain tissues. So learning about impermanence. And if we can just breathe a few more breaths, maybe we can stay in a situation just a little bit longer. We can bring up our intention when we need to. Maybe when we need something to focus on, when the mind's wandering, when a pose gets a bit difficult. So you have just a few more breaths here on this side. Beautiful. When you're ready, come up really slowly. You can use your hands for support, maybe several breaths or a big inhale. So just coming up, we are going to actually lay on the backs to rest this time after both of the postures. So just letting yourself slide down, open up, feel what just happened. You might feel warm or cool sensation in that area we were stretching. You might feel that pulsation. And then slowly, let's just curl into a tight little ball for just a moment. Squeezing the legs in, pulling the head towards the knees. Squeeze everything in. We'll breathe in here, squeezing as tight as you can. Exhale, just let go one more time. And then we're gonna roll over again. So coming this time, we'll come to hands and knees. Let's find our way there. So an option to take cat and cow here, or take a child's pose if you don't feel like moving so much. And if you'd like to move, we'll inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, head. Exhale, rounding. So just starting to get to know how the spine is feeling this morning. Upper, middle, lower. Noticing the neck. Taking a few rhythmic movements, or if you're in child's pose, same thing. Just feel the long spine and feel how the spine feels, upper, middle, lower. Maybe a body scan top to bottom. Good. And then if you're on hands and knees, we will stretch back for child's pose. Take a moment. And then let's walk the hands over to the right, getting a nice stretch in that left side. Feel that left hip heavy pressing down. And then slowly hands walk to the center. You can exhale them to the left side. Get a big stretch in the right, and right hip gets heavy. About 5 breaths. Good. We're going to inhale back to center. So for the next pose, we're going to be on the knees. It's time to open up the spine and the heart. So coming to hands and knees. If you need something like blanket under knees, you could place that. We're going to take a heart melting pose. So we'll keep the hips right over knees in the posture and then walk hands out. So it's like a diagonal line from shoulder to wrist. Couple options. So we are going to sink the heart down, taking a breath in, exhale, melting. So chest or forehead or chin can come down, or bring the floor closer with a prop. So it can be a rolled blanket, a couch, like a large couch cushion or bolster, and coming down this way. Chin can be down, or you can gently turn the head. So remember, hips pretty much over the knees. It's not a child's pose or up more. And just feeling this, starting to open in the shoulders, opening the heart. So be compassionate with yourself here. If emotions begin to arise, that's okay. Tell yourself it's okay. Breathe in. Exhale anything you no longer need that doesn't serve you. Heart chakra here. You might notice this between the shoulder blades and the back. It can be an intense pose. We're going to hold it just a little less time than the last couple. Great for strengthening the lungs as well. So the lung meridian and heart meridian running through chest and arms here. Not worrying too much if the breath isn't as deep as before. Just explore the breath here, see what it feels like in this pose. It's very different from the others. Breathing. It's only about 1 more minute here. As an option, remember, you do you, it's your practice. You might have found another variation or backed off the pose early. It's okay. Give ourselves compassion for what the body's able to do today. Just a few more breaths here. Good. Last couple of breaths. Excuse me. I think I have some allergies right now, so sorry if I'm a little scratchy. Excuse me. When you're ready, you can start pressing hands into the ground and then slowly lift the chest up, starting to move any props. You can walk hands back. And I'd like to come down onto the belly into a prone position and just rest here. Arms can be long. Maybe you turn the head to one side, one cheek on the mat. And then slowly turning the head opposite direction. Just get a nice counter stretch for the neck. Nice. We're going to come up into Sphinx for the next pose. So let me scoot back a little bit. All right, so it's propping ourselves on our elbows, shoulders over elbows. Make sure you're not using spinal muscles. You'll know if they're contracting. If your elbows are behind shoulders, you're using spinal muscles. I'd love it if you bring them forward. And then relax that spine, and you'll start to feel that big stretch in the lower back. So maybe it feels like compression. That's okay. Really watch the spine. We do hold fear in this area, the kidneys, the adrenals, all that stuff that we're working right there. So letting go of any fears about back bending, safety of the spine. It's a safe posture. You just don't want to go too far. So this might be it for you. You can always deepen it by separating hands a little more, lifting elbows. You can be a little bit, or you can come up more. Just be really slow if you do come up higher, and you can always very slowly lower back if you need to. Set a timer pose. And then also, you can use a prop. If your shoulders are tense, or, we just released them in the last pose. If you have tension, you naturally carry it there. You might want to prop under the chest, let the arms kind of fold. You can even bring the head down. So just get creative with this. We do want to target the slow spine, and that's pretty much the main thing. You can also come up higher without doing supporting on the arms by doing this, coming up a little higher on some blocks or a bolster. And starting to breathe into this. Send that breath to those kidneys. Exhale, it's a very calming, grounding feeling. Feel the hips sink into the earth. Inhale with an open chest, belly presses into the ground, low belly. Exhale, feel the body parts connecting to the ground. Let the ground hold you, being supported by the Mother Earth. such a grounding practice. You can always just allow yourself to sink into the earth, kind of like that water seeping into the ground. And I have to remind myself a lot to let go of my jaw, carry tension there. So maybe you check in with that. Notice if you're straining more in the face. Exhale, let the facial muscles relax. Maybe you let the top and bottom teeth part. I'm always going to wiggle the jaw, let it relax. We're more than halfway through this one. Remember, you can come down if you need to. I've even seen people in class kind of exit the pose for a little and then even come back to it. So do what you need to do. And it's about 1 more minute as an option here. Few more breaths. Let go where you can. Use your exhale. So for the last couple of breaths, you can use them to come out of the pose. When you're ready, it's a deep breath in. As you exhale, slowly unwinding the spine and coming all the way down. Take a lot of time, so let go of the fear of it in the spine. It might feel really stiff or weird coming out. That's totally normal. Just letting it go, maybe pushing the props forward or to the side as you come down. Can you take a few moments of stillness to allow those tissues, blood, energy to reorganize after that compression? There was a big compression. You might notice that big rush of energy through the low spine, tonifying the kidneys, calming adrenals, fight or flight. Just rest here. If you like, at this point, you can bend your knees and windshield wiper so the feet go together side to side. Or if you want to simply wiggle the hips back and forth, that can feel good. And then finally, if you'd like, you can take a child's pose if that'll feel good for your low back. I really like that. It is a subtle, well, it's a pretty big forward bend actually that we're going to. So just go ahead and let the spine open as you need to. You might need the knees wide at first, and then eventually maybe knees come together. Really feel that stretch in the low back. All right, so the next pose, one of my favorites, will do the sleeping swan, which is in vinyasa, kind of like the pigeon. Very different, no real alignment cues. It's just guidelines to get into the pose. So you might need some props, some pillows nearby. I'm gonna come to hands and knees first. If you need, you can wiggle hips or take some cat and cows, or go back and forth even. Nice. And then we'll go ahead and slide the right knee forward. You might need that foot to come out to the left a little bit. And then I like to scoot my left leg back, create a little more space in the hip. So when you do that, notice if your hip's coming down kind of comfortably or not. If it's up, take a prop. You can take a blanket, some pillows, a block under the hip. Doesn't matter if your hips are completely level. So just keep that in mind as well. This is the swan. When you're upright, eventually you're welcome to come down. And this is where some props might come in, bringing them under the chest and letting the head rest. If this isn't working for you, just turn it on your back. You'll get the exact same stretch. We're just going to go ahead and bend the knees, bring this ankle right side over the left thigh, and you want to kind of push the right knee away. And then you'll bring the left foot up. You can grab around the back of the thigh, the front of the shin, or use a strap or like a bathrobe tie. The same exact sensations and benefits for the hips as that other version. And please take your time. You really don't have to come down all the way. You can stay up as long as you'd like, if you like that stretch, or you can come back to it. Your chest head does not have to be anywhere close to the floor. You might build a bunch of props to bring the floor closer. Just placing them on top of each other. Just get yourself really supported. You still want to feel a lot in the right hip, maybe the left as well. But you're still supporting yourself, being held here. Once those muscles relax is when we really get deep into connective tissues, fascia, even putting some stress on the joints, ligaments, that kind of stuff. And connective tissues within muscles themselves. So you probably still feel it muscularly in some way. Anytime we move the body, we have to use our muscles. So that's why the stillness comes in. It takes about a minute or so to allow those muscles to let go, to be able to feel the pose in a deeper way. Once we're feeling it in that deep way, really getting into meridians of the body, those energy channels. So here I think of the liver and gallbladder pairing in Chinese medicine. The gallbladder is the outer hip and the liver, the inner thigh groin. Working with these channels can help relieve pain in the body, really good for menstrual cramps and things like that. Stiffness in the muscles, any kind of tension, like physical tension and stress. This practice is perfect for that. Letting go of anger and frustration. So this can be a really frustrating time. It's okay to feel that way. You can always exhale out like forcefully if you need to release something, stagnation or physical tension. Let it go. And about one more minute here. Few more breaths. Let go, let go. When you're ready, coming out slow, so you can prop up on arms maybe first. I just like to scoot my back leg forward and kind of bring right to meet left. You can come and lie down if you want, or take a child's pose if that's better. To release that side. And then we'll take the other side, just knowing that this will be different, no expectation. Just turn around so you can see a little better. So from hands and knees, drawing the left knee forward. And then scooting right back and maybe bringing something under this hip if necessary. So get yourself situated, take a lot of time. You don't have to go down to the ground quickly. But when you're ready, take a breath here and you can start exhaling down. Maybe bringing a prop right under. I'm going to turn for a second just to say your shin doesn't have to be parallel to the front of the mat or anywhere near it. It all depends on how our head of the femur bone fits into the hip socket. If it's deep or shallow, if we internally or externally rotate. The bones of the knees and ankles have a lot of factors. So my foot is all the way back, just as a side note. The skeletal variations can hold us back in poses we might never get to what we think of as the peak due to these skeletal variations. It might not be inflexibility that holds us back all the time. So that's another place where this compassion and acceptance comes in. We cannot change the shape of our bones. Never will. So bringing that yin, that compassion, just allowing what needs to happen here. Now this pose is really great for anyone who sits a lot. It's so good for people who walk or run a lot too. The hips and hip flexors, and those muscles in the front of the hips, they do get tight. Great for, what did I say? Did I say sitting? That as well. Take your time to find the stillness. If you're still adjusting, it's totally okay. Been here about a minute. We'll do about 4 total. Remember the breath in each pose. That's our anchor. Anchor to mindfulness, to the present, to our bodies. It's about 1 more minute. Just an option for you. Taking care of yourself here. Just a couple more breaths in the pose. And then once again, please come out when you're ready slowly. You can come out in your own way. You can do pressing into the ground and just kind of sliding that leg back. Just take your time and find yourself lying on the ground on your back or front. We're winding down the practice. Eventually, we'll all meet on our backs. You can bring your props, kind of gather them around you if you like, and we'll take our last posture. So on the back, you're welcome to bring knees into the chest again, maybe hug or rock. We'll bring the feet down. Let's cross left leg over right and then let the legs fall right for a twist. If you don't like this twist variation, just do your own. It's totally fine. And then maybe you prop the legs so you're not holding them to the side. We're going to take this pose a little less time on each side, but it'll be a total of about 5 minutes for both sides. Letting the shoulders feel heavy and relaxed, the back of the head relaxed. If one shoulder is off the ground, maybe the left side, you can prop the legs a bit more and kind of get that left shoulder closer to the mat. Feeling that deep twist, noticing where you feel it, maybe more externally or maybe more internally. We have some compression on the organs here, so healthy. You think of twists as detoxifying, cleansing, and so good for the spine. And we just have a few more breaths on this side. Just letting go as much as you can in all the muscles. Let yourself be supported, not holding yourself in the pose, just allowing the pose to open the body. When ready, you can start rolling back to center. You can uncross. Take any movements here, and then crossing right over left, knees falling left side, propping as you need to. Take your time. No sharp feelings in that low back or like tweaky feelings. Don't want anything like that. So prop as you need to. Take your own twist variation if that one doesn't suit you. You can do something different on each side too. That's an option. Last posture of the practice, last kind of letting go. In the last couple of minutes. Just knowing that it's a little more time, maybe you're a little more present, a little more focused. Where do you feel this? What does it feel like? Can I breathe into that and create more space? Exhaling any tension. Good, about 10 more breaths. Beautiful. Maybe a couple more breaths here. And then please take your time, slowly, slowly rolling back to the center. Uncrossing. You can take any last stretches or movements or postures that you might need here. If you need a happy baby, plow pose, anything, or just going right to your relaxation. So eventually we'll all get there. You can always get a blanket to put on top of you, propping if you want to, or just lying on the mat. It doesn't have to be Shavasana. It can be lying on the front or the side or whatever makes you feel that comfort. I like to put a bolster under my knees, lay back on some pillows, and put a blanket over. So we'll slowly get ready for that final relaxation. Just letting go one more time, not doing, simply being, and giving yourself a few minutes. Allow that intention, your practice, to be absorbed into your body, mind, and spirit. Letting the eyes close, drifting away. So just starting to bring yourself back here if you've drifted off. Let's take a big breath in and out with a sigh. So inhale. Beautiful. You can do a couple more if you like. We'll start to move fingers and toes, reawakening the body. If you'd like to add anything, maybe circling wrists and ankles, gently turning the head, or even stretching arms overhead, stretching toes forward. When you're ready, just let your knees bend and slowly roll to the side. Take a pause and a breath. When you're ready, just slowly press up to your seat, and we'll close our practice together. Let's bring our palms together at the heart center. Just get settled here. Recalling that intention from the beginning. May all beings be free of fear and harm. May we all be happy just the way we are. May we be at peace with whatever comes. And may we all live gently in the softness of our own hearts. Namaste.